Hello! So today I'm going to do some makeup. For Christmas, me mother bought me this. The nail polish doesn't come in it, by the way, these like bigger ones. I put them in there for safekeeping. These ones did not come with the kit, as they are Studio London from Superdrug, and this is Technic. I don't know how good these products are, but I've had a play around with them a few days ago and I didn't exactly like them, but we're going to test it out with my proper makeup brushes this time. So I haven't washed these because that's so much effort, and if I do it now I have to wait till they dry, and that's also effort. I looked on the interwebs because we like interwebs and it's where most people buy things nowadays, and I looked for this kit according to the interwebs. And it does feel cheap. Like, you would expect it to be glass. No, it's plastic. Like, you can literally bend the shit out of it. But I thought, hey, well, you know, just because it's made in an ugly little container does not mean the product itself is bad. So I'm going to play around with some of it. I'm currently just taking the bits that I'm going to play around with out. And I was either thinking of doing a purple. These are the purple colours, and these are kind of like the green colours, so either a purple or a green. There's also blue and more kind of just nudie colour. I think I'm gonna go with a purple. Feeling more purple today, so these are the ones I'm going to be using. These are the colours. So how I normally do my makeup is I usually put a shimmer colour in the inner corner, then I go from light to dark, bringing the darkest there, putting the absolute darkest at the bottom, and then sometimes I'll do a wing, but sometimes I won't. It really depends how I'm feeling that day, you know. I also don't ever use foundation, or I use concealer, but not as a concealer. I use concealer for my eyes for a primer, and I could buy a primer, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to get started and I'm just going to talk. I don't know how much editing I'm going to do with this, because every time I say that, I then edit the heck ton out of it, because I realise how much I talk and then I go, ew, stop. You don't need to put that on the interwebs. It's less of that, it's more of, it's like turns into an hour thing and I'm like, no one's going to be watching that. I mean, I would, but then again, I'm a sad little sack, so you know. So currently just priming my eyes with some concealer. You know, I'm not actually a makeup person. I just like have seen a few videos and I'm like, now I do it my own way. And people compliment me on my makeup, and sometimes I go, I have no clue what I'm doing. So I don't know if you're being sincere with this compliment, or if this is just you going, it's really nice. It looks like a 2-year-old did it. You know, I don't really know, and maybe that's just me being, you know, self-conscious, but oh well. So these are obviously a lot smaller than my pan that I use, so this is going to be difficult, as well as the fact that these brushes aren't clean. Currently my brushes are blue due to the fact that when I go to college I colour coordinate my eyes with what season it is. So as of current, it's obviously winter, therefore blue. I've just dabbed a bit, and when I've dabbed there's been like a lot of fallout and it's like chunky. Usually it's not chunky like that. Even if it is a shimmer shade, it's like nice and just calm, but it's very chunky. In we go with it. So what do we want to talk about? Maybe we should talk about my mother. My mum and I don't have the best relationship. It's a long story and I'm not going to tell you the long story, but last year we saw each other about 2 times. Now I'm 18, I can't actually be peer pressured into talking to her, even though my nan, not her mum, my dad's side, and my granddad, my dad's side, always try and convince me to go see my mum, and it doesn't work. Clearly it doesn't work. But they're like, oh, you're, you know, when she goes you'll be sad that you didn't spend time with her, and I'm like, Would you say that about the milkman or something? If you don't talk to the milkman, you'll be sad when he's gone? Like, no. I mean, no one really has milkmen nowadays. But, you know, like, the person at, like, doing the till scanny thing, would you say that, you know, you'd be sad not to see that person ever again? And you're going to be like, and they're probably going to be like, you know, it's a bit different. She gave birth to you. Well, yeah, she did give birth to me. But still, I don't feel like that counts for anything, really. And maybe it's just because I'm gay and there's a sentiment within queer culture that, you know, you've got chosen family, that you choose to be your family if they're related to you or not related to you. It doesn't really matter. Maybe it's just because of that and, you know, the straights don't really get it. Or maybe it's just because I don't really care. And the fact that I don't really want to be on this earth to begin with. So if she didn't push me out, I wouldn't feel very sad about it, to be honest. But when I went to see her, I went because it was my nan's funeral, her mum. And, you know, I wanted to say goodbye to my nan and everything. I then went to her church service afterwards. I spoke to my mum there. I was, you know, glammed up because that's just the way I be. I didn't go glammed up to a funeral because I feel like that's insensitive. While I've been doing this, I don't like the way it's sitting. And I don't know, let's try a different brush. Let's try this brush. I usually use this brush for my corner, but let's give it a different brush, see how it applies with that one. I mean, that side isn't as bad, it's just this one. I don't expect her to get me anything for Christmas or birthday. I don't really care, to be honest. I literally don't care. I personally don't think that Christmas should have presents or birthdays should have presents that you feel obliged to buy someone something. I feel like if you want to buy someone something because it reminds you of them or that you had this idea of what to buy them, buy it for them. You don't have to give it Christmas or birthday. But I don't feel like she should buy me anything. If I don't see the woman, I don't think she should buy me anything, but she does. And I don't want to tell her, don't do that, because that means I have to talk to her. And she'll probably buy me something anyway, just be like, oh yeah, but talk to me. But you know, oh well, what are you gonna do about it, eh? Oh, this is really not sitting well. Maybe if I brush some of it off. But she obviously saw me in makeup and was like, I can buy her makeup, which she didn't need to do. I've got my palette, I love my palette, but I don't feel like I need another palette or anything. So this was just really unnecessary because, as I said, I don't know the quality of these ones. I wasn't able to look at the product reviews or anything because it was bought by someone else, and I don't like buying things that don't have any use. She says she has Onion Man. Onion Man's a different story though. We love Onion Man here. Secondary school, for GCSEs we had to do 18 poems or something, and one of them was Valentine by whoever it's by. And one of the like things that is repeated is I give you an onion. We made this joke about it and we just give you an onion. And best friend, I bought it for my best friend and I gave her the onion, and then she found one in a charity shop and gave it to me back, and not the same one obviously. So that's how it be looking. Now I think I'm gonna dip into this colour down here because it's the other lightest colour, I would say. The brush that I would normally use is this dude, one of these dudes, and then I just kind of dab and I bring it up a bit so that I can blend it out. Let's talk about this thing real quickly. I'm not a big fan of it as current. As I've said, it just looks a bit wonky to my eyes anyway. I mean, it's all in all, it's not like terrible, but it doesn't match up to the normal one I use or anything. And the next colour I'm going to use is that kind of more purplier purple, and I'm going to put that next. I mean, you can probably say something about my technique of applying makeup, and maybe it's not like the best, but my makeup isn't half bad, you know? It isn't the worst I've seen. It isn't the best I've seen. It's just mediocre, you know? But these pigments are not helping at all. Jesus, they're bad. I'm going to blend that top bit out. Holy crap, these are terrible. I need to go back in with that purple because it's just completely gone. It's not even there at all. I'm still just trying to even get pigment on there because it's just not, it's not it. It's really just not it at all. It's literally like drugstore makeup. What I normally then would do is get the darkest shade and put it just under. So that's what I'm going to do, following my normal steps. I can't get over the fact that these pigments just aren't sticking. Like, what's the problem? I'm now going to go back over and try and get the pigments to stick. It doesn't like sticking. I never usually have this problem, so I don't know really how to overcome it at all. My only thing would be to add some concealer to the place that aren't sticking to help it stick, which I sometimes add a bit in concealer if I want to brighten it up or add a different colour over it. So it's not you know what I would do. Now we're going to go back in with that purple and we're going to add it to where I've just put concealer and hope that it sticks. Okay, it's sticking a bit more this time. Problem with putting concealer over it is sometimes it then looks a bit clumpy, which this one's starting to do, and it's starting to make my eyes look a bit more clumpy than they're meant to be looking. It's also just not looking good. Now I'm just going to conceal some of my spots because I've got leftover concealer. Give you a topic. What topic? I'm thinking Gentleman Jack, just because I love Gentleman Jack. Gentleman Jack is a TV show written by Sally Wainwright. She also wrote Last Tango in Halifax and what's currently on, which is Happy Valley. She wrote Gentleman Jack about Anne Lister, this very much real life lesbian who lived within the 19th century and kept an extensive diary about her sex life and everything about her, really. But when she died, she was in Russia, which meant that she was unable to put her journals anywhere. So when her estate went to the listers in Wales, they found her diary. I'm thinking black. Her diary showed her love for women, and she slept with people like Tib, aka Isabel Norcliffe, who she was friends with, and then Mariana Lawton, who was more of her kind of like longer term partner. They were more off and on again relationship. I'm going to do my wing like I normally do, which is the 3. They were more off and on because Mariana couldn't really commit to Anne as she had to get married. She got married because her parents couldn't really afford to have all the children that they had. She got married to Charles Lawton of Lawton Hall. This marriage caused many arguments between Anne and Mariana and caused many falling outs. One of which wasn't really directly caused by Charles, but indirectly caused by Charles, was the Blackstone Edge, was where Anne was super excited to see Mariana because they hadn't seen each other in a long time and she was missing her, as you do with someone you like / love. She walked, I think it was something like 12 miles. Basically, Mariana was coming to pick her up in a coach, pick her up from Halifax. At the time, it was somewhat raining, there was a bit of drizzle, so Anne got a bit wet, and obviously a 12-mile walk isn't exactly for the faint-hearted, and it's quite long and tiring. Looked a bit scruffy, and she then had some boiled milk, and the carriage arrived, and she, quickly paced to it. I'm also going to add a little thingy in the corner there, and was not met by what she thought she would be met by, which was this real happiness. Instead, she was met by Mariana saying, you know, you're taking 3 steps when you should be doing 2. This and other comments she had stated hurt Anne, and stuff about leaving Charles and Mariana going, no, I don't want to leave Charles, joking about how long Charles has left. And at some point Mariana was like, I don't want to do this anymore, I don't want to joke about how long he has left to live. And this aggravated Anne as well, and this moment stopped their relationship entirely. Then she was on the prowl again, and she started to court Anne Walker. I'm going to add some lip, thinking this nice kind of purpley colour lipstick. But Anne and Anne, they weren't the perfect couple, you know. In those times, lesbians weren't exactly, well, the people didn't really think they existed, to be honest. They weren't, people who were women into women weren't killed for it, because kindly from the reason why people hate gay people is all because Henry VIII and his buggery had stated that a man shall not sleep with other man because he will be killed if he does so, and also that you shouldn't sleep with animals, literally comparing to gay people to animals. But this was Henry VIII's time. Beforehand, it wasn't actually frowned upon. There was no laws put in place against it, but as Henry VIII had his own Church of England and everything, he put that in place. And throughout history, the law was, it was never really stopped. There was just like, from all the kings and queens, there was times where it was enforced more and times where it wasn't enforced as much. Anne Lister was born in like 1791, a bit before Victoria. She lived into Victoria's reign, but Victoria was very heavy-handed with the buggery, and she put it in place, and many men were hanged due to the fact that they slept with, fell in love with other men. But there was no such law against women. I can have a women. If you go back to Henry VIII times, it might just be because, you know, the fetishization of lesbians was very much still back then was a thing. Because to a straight man, what's better than one woman? 2 women. And Victoria didn't enforce it for women due to the fact that she said that she is a woman and she doesn't have those feelings, therefore she can't see how anyone else can have those feelings towards women. I might use this one and put the nuder colour on what I would call my nude. It's obviously not everyone's nude, but for my nude on there. But for me, she's just a very prominent figure in my life, as she loved learning, and I also love learning, and she loved many things that I love, including women. I think that's it now. Out of 10, I would probably give this, I think for me the eyeliner is probably the best bit because it's very smudgeable, which can give you a very nice smudged look if you're going for that. So I like the eyeliner, but the actual eyeshadows I would probably give 3 out of 10 at the most. 3.5, let's say, because the colours do be there. They're just very unblendable. If you try and add more colour, it completely comes off. And also, I'm pretty sure, if you just touch it, it completely comes off. Which, with my other ones, it's not as noticeable when you touch it. But this one, it's just dead to the world. So I would give this about 3.5 stars out of 10. And maybe their full size stuff is better. I also didn't use bronzer or the blush that's in here. There are 3 blushes, just because I don't tend to wear blush. These are the 3 blushes. I would probably use that blush out of any of them. That one looks almost like just very kind of dusty looking, and that's too bright. So I would probably go with that blush if I had to. Also, what came with this was nail polish, and I have used some of this. This one's the one that I really like because it's a multi-chrome. It also comes with this horrendous colour. Like, where are you putting that? Who knows? But the nail polish isn't that bad. The only thing I haven't really used are these cream eyeshadows. There's this, which is somewhat purple, and I'm going to try and use this. I think we're going to pat it on. It doesn't feel like eyeshadow. It doesn't feel like what eyeshadow should feel like. Not very easy to blend. When you start blending, it completely picks up the product, which makes it difficult to blend / impossible to blend. It's not very pigmented. The pigment doesn't really stick, but you know, I was able to somewhat work it, and if I was in a pub or if I was in a club or something and it was really late at night, you wouldn't really be able to tell. So that's why I'm giving it 3.5 instead of completely just 0, you know, because it does something. It's not like it just doesn't even work at all. So that's it. That's the final product. Thank you for listening to me talk about things and stuff. I hope you have a good day, good night, good morning, depends when you watch this, if you watch it, who knows. But thank you for listening to me talk. So goodbye.